Hi there, thank you so much for clicking the thumbnail and being interested in my work. In this video I share with you my techniques and tips on how I achieved trees and sky. Be sure to watch it right through till the end, because here and there I'll be slowing things down in real time so you can take a closer look. So let's dive in and take a look. Right, my board is marked up to 12 inch by 8 inch, and first thing I do is put a center point on my board and a center point on the image I'm working from. Right, just making a few random marks just to get a feel for where things are. But what I tend to do is use the center mark first to measure the top of the board, and then just move it to the side and then make a point there. Then you've got another point of reference, and then just see where that point lies on your image. So using your thumb and the tip of the pencil to use as a measurement, and then from them points you get an idea then where things lie. Now the pencil colour I'm using is 708 from the Carbothello range. It's an ideal pencil for this because it's slightly darker than the actual pastel matte, the dark grey. But when you actually use a kneadable eraser over that pencil, you can't really see the marks when you rub it out, so it's really good for that. So suggest buying one of those if you haven't got one in your kit. Just really opening up to the actual landscape, just melting into it, feel it, and then draw what you feel and just allow it all to happen. Just sense where these elements are. Using the ultramarine and white to start with here, just sort of getting an idea with the feel of the sky. It's just like an underdrawing really, just to fill a little bit of that tooth up. And then just sketching using the blue where the trees you think they're going to be. The reason I've used blue is because if I make a mistake I can just use white, and that will actually make a sky colour. If I use green straight away, it makes everything muddy then. Now these are the Caran colours I'm using for the sky, so we're just roughing it in with that. But first I decided to go over with a couple of Rembrandt sticks just to get that pigment in, because Rembrandt pastel is very vibrant, a lot of pigment in it. So to get that freshness, what I've done is put that on first and then go over then with other pencils, and it mixes together then. So I was using my fingers to blend these Caran colours together. Sky tends to be like a turquoisey colour as well at the bottom, and then it goes up to sort of a mixture of ultramarine and turquoisey colour. So what I've done here is I'm just marking in the trees here, but then what I'll do is I'll go over with some turquoisey colour and then maybe a bit of red in places to make like a purple as well on the horizon there. So these are sort of things you tend to see in skies. So just filling in sort of, it's like a blocking stage. There's no detail involved in this stage. It's just getting a feel for the colours, trying to get the vibrancy correct. There's a turquoise colour going in, and then just using my finger and using the Carbothello white there as well to blend it in, just to get rid of the marks. So don't forget there's all going to be branches over this as well, so it's just like what's behind the tree. What I tend to do is use an ultramarine blue as well to map out where the branches are. What this will do is take away quite a lot of tension, because when you first look at the reference image and you see all those branches and you think, well, how am I going to do that over the sky? It can cause a little tension if you overthink it. So the best thing I always tend to do is go over with a blue, just find where things are, because you can easily change that by adding white and it becomes a sky colour. So you can, whatever elements you've got in the sky, if you use one of those colours, it won't be muddy then if you need to correct anything. So I'm basically just mapping out the shape of it. I'm really enjoying it, get a flow for the branches, the feel for the tree. There's the selection of colours I'm using for the tree. Just using a combination of burnt umbre and burnt sienna and a little bit of white and a bit of lemon yellow in there as well, just to get sort of the feel of how the light's hitting the branches. This is just a basic rough underdrawing, if you like, just getting an idea, just to get something down and get something started, because you can freeze with the amount of detail there is there and you just think, well, how do I start it? So if you just get something down and just let it develop and keep persevering, it will come together eventually. There's a barrier you'd have to sort of go across where you start to think, well, this is not going anywhere, it's just not feeling right or not looking right. But if you go beyond that barrier, it will develop. It's just a matter of just being patient and just have faith, really, and just keep plodding along, and it does develop eventually. For the warm areas of the trunk of the tree and the branches, I'm using the burnt sienna in combination with the Caran 042, which really warms things up. The time of year this photograph was taken was early spring, so the leaves are not quite on the tree yet. So there's lots of warm browns with the branches and how the light catches it, so it's quite interesting to actually paint. So it's best not to be too involved with the details to start with, just go for blocking in, getting the colours and the shapes in the right sort of area. If you're enjoying this video, why not subscribe? It's absolutely free, then you're sure not to miss any of my future videos. Here's some real-time footage again, so we can have a closer look. Just basically making sure my pencils are sharp, obviously, but just varying the pressure, very, very light pressure when you want really fine branches, and then just putting the pressure on for the more thicker branches. So it's best to really draw it in the brown first, and I also use the purpley blue colour as well for some of the branches that's behind the tree. But you'll find that some I've got burnt sienna and a bit of lemon yellow on it, or maybe the Caran 042, which will just give that feeling of the sun shining on the branches. So it's a mixture of all these different colours, but I tended to use the brown first and then just go over then where needed to. But here you can see I'm putting more values in, so I'm pressing on with the brown and maybe adding a little bit of purple in there now and again. And it's just mixing up now, getting the different values, different tones, different feel to it. So really open your heart, let go of the mind, and sense that you're actually there, and feel the atmosphere, be one with everything, and just let it flow through your hands. Down to real time now. For the areas where it's subdued and it's not really bright green, I'm using the yellow ochre mixed with blue, and then I'm using dark green as well in certain areas. So it's a mixture of all these different colours that creates that sort of feeling. Just varying the pressure here and there, and opening your vision as well. So while you're drawing these branches, you're actually sensing and seeing the whole of the tree. So you're trying to get that balance, because you don't want things to sort of be too dark in some areas that throws the eye. It has to sort of feel natural. There I'm using the brown and blue, which gives it its depth. And you can see I'm glazing over with the light areas with a bit of burnt sienna, just to get that sort of glow to it. Just using a really dark blue colour here now, just for the branches behind the tree, and then using a bit of burnt sienna is mixed with it as well. It seemed to do the trick. So you really have to experiment, trying different pencil colours you've got, and if you've got a colour that matches, use it, but then you can subtle it up by using like the burnt sienna, yellow ochre on the top, or the Caran ash colour here. It just subtles the whole feel of it. For longer, slower and more in-depth videos, please join me on Patreon. Link is in the description below. Now, it's always best to squint your eyes when you're looking for values, so try and match certain areas. So if one area is a certain darkness, try and do the same on them branches that look the same, if you know what I mean. So if you just keep an awareness of where these dark areas are and try and keep them the same, and then the really intense shadows you can just put here and there where you sense that they should go. Just going through now with very fine details here and there, just sort of picking odd bits out. Don't want too much detail in, but just enough to make it believable, because the eye will fill a lot in, you know, so you don't have to go over the top with trying to get every branch the same. I've really focused more on how the feeling is and the atmosphere rather than details, trying to get that feeling of space and energy. It's a case of just sort of stepping back from the detail and feeling it more. It's hard to put in words really, but it's creating a mood, creating a sensation with it, you know, a feeling of peacefulness and stillness. All these elements you try and convey with each brush or each pencil mark. Right, continuing now along the landscape. So I'm using the blue again and white just to get the basic shape of where the elements go, and when I'm happy with that, then I'll start going in with the other colours. Just working some Caran pencils in now. This is the sort of more turquoisey colour I'm just mixing in with it, the ultramarine, and just trying to get a feel for this light and atmosphere of the sky. But most of this is going to be behind the trees anyway, so but I just needed to get that feeling correct before I started putting the details in the branches and what have you. So I'm just going around it first, just getting a sense that everything seems okay, using a bit of alizarin crimson as well, because on the horizon it tends to be a bit pinkier, so I always put a little bit of alizarin crimson at the bottom there. Using my fingers to blend. This is Chinese white of the Caran range, and it's slightly got a bit of yellow mixed in with the white, and it's quite nice to use for clouds and that. If you're enjoying this video, why not give it a like and share it with your friends? I'd really appreciate that, as it would help the channel to grow. Trying to get the subtleties now in the clouds, so usually putting a bit of white down, rub it with a finger, just checking where things line up. Get a sort of similar feel to what the clouds feel like. And again, it's letting go, feeling the atmosphere, feel the space in the sky. Imagine you're there looking at the sky, do all sorts of things like that, just to get that sort of sense of reality to it. It all shines through you then, it all sort of, all these feelings go through your hands and into your work. Just going through the same procedure again, using the blue just to map everything out, getting a feel for a balance of where things go. Just showing you here in real time just how I do that. And here's the colours I'll be using, just for the underdrawing to start with. Just basically just working them in, just mixing them all together until the colours develop. You get a feel for what needs to be added to get the right, correct colour. And we're just blocking in really, we're not really interested in the details at this point. Now I'm just following the same procedure as I did with the other tree, using the Umbre first, then going over with the burnt Sienna, then using that like a dark blue colour as well for the branches behind the tree, and just getting the basic shapes in there and then building them up then. And then once you're happy with the sort of branches behind, then you can start putting the highlights in then. Putting the burnt sienna in there, a little bit of lemon yellow if it's needed. I'm using a bit of sky colour in between as well, just to, you know, break it up a little bit, the actual branches. For longer, slower and more in-depth videos, please join me on Patreon. Link is in the description below. Here's some real-time footage now, just showing you how I do the branches, the highlights of the branches with the Caran 042. Hope you've enjoyed this video. Please look out for part 2, which will be the next one, and I'll be doing the reflections and also the grass and the foreground trees as well, so be sure to keep an eye open for that. Thank you for watching the video right through to the end. If you found value in it and you liked the video, please give it a thumbs up. Appreciate it, would help the channel. Leave a comment and a message
in the comments below. Let me know what sort of videos you want me to produce. I've actually left a couple of links here for you to click on, and to subscribe, click on the circle here. It's absolutely free, and then you're sure not to miss any of my future videos. Thank you so much, take care and be well.